welcome to the fourth and final review of the session. Up this time is an adventure game. Well, actually, an adventure role playing game called Hero U Road to Redemption. Um, right, so first of all, um, I suppose the preface here is to go into a bit of the legacy behind Hero U. That is to say that this game was helmed by um, the minds that created the Quest for Glory series over at Sierra back in the day. Um, and if you don't know what the Quest for Glory series is, well, that was a series of role playing adventure games. Though that being said, this is a very different game to the Quest for Glory series. Like, honestly, this is more adventure game than or sorry, this is a more role playing game than adventure game. Like, this is this is really buried in role playing game mechanics, and to further quantify that, I'm talking about really like either like Skyrim or Final Fantasy II kind of. That is to say, your skills are determined on how much you use them. It's like the more
that's sort of.
I'm like, well, for the most part, but like the more you sneak around, the better you will get at stealth. The more you listen at doors, the better your perception is going to be. Like the more you pick locks, the better your tool use will become. Yes, there are also you can study, and you can. There's also training not courses, but training segments that can boost your abilities, like, and also the kind of responses that you give will boost certain stats. Like if you answer cleverly about stuff, you're going to beef up your smarts.
And there are also just purely social stats.
Right.
A couple of them for.
Well, it's worth noting that it's split into two distinct groups. You got your skills and you got your abilities. Skills are much more generalized, let's say. That's smarts, charm, moxie, and what have you. Whereas abilities, that's the more specific stuff like climbing, agility, tool use, etc., etc. That being said, this does play mostly like a traditional point-and-click game. You can adjust this part, but like there are certain areas where you can get into combat situations where it becomes a turn-based role-playing game. It's like very menu-driven, and it's simple, but it gets the point across. Like, honestly, it's a better role-playing system than a lot of other role-playing hybrids we've played on the program, both past and future. And the subtitle of this, Road to Redemption, is kind of the focus at Hero University, as you are street urchin scallywag Sean O'Connor,
who was doing a break-in to join the Thieves Guild and didn't get caught by the people, but got caught by some adventure college guy on his way out. And he basically had the choice of, well, you can come with me to the school, or I can show you to the guards.
It's a very Hobson's choice situation. Like if you pick to run away, the guards will catch you, and it's game over. So, you get sent to a place that's literally called Hero University. which is in the business of training heroes. And you're asked a series of questions which can build your stat set. Like how strong you are, how magical you are, what have you.
Mhm.
But you'll never be placed in the paladin's course or the wizard's course.
Yes, they have various divisions of the schools. They have paladins, wizards, fighters, bards, and quote unquote disbarred bards.
Which is,
Because rogues have a bad reputation.
well, it's also got a presumably comically, uh, you know, he's a he's basically like a college team from movies.
Yeah.
Turk, he really really hates the rogues section and wants it shut down, and he has a specific enmity towards Sean
Well, I
because
mean, if you're specifically, if you've got an entire group of students that are for the class that is specifically like known for like having the skill set for making trouble.
right, and you know the rogues course tries to justify itself by saying that they have a code of ethics. Like, mind you, that's not something that you will necessarily follow, because
Look, sometimes you need to know how to pick locks or something in order to serve the greater good too.
well, it's also sometimes I want to root around the teachers' lounge to see if they have any healing potions, and sometimes they do. Like,
well,
and
remember, the most important rule is rule number 6: don't get caught.
Not that there's much danger of getting caught, at least in the university. I mean, outside of the Grand Hall, like when
yeah,
you
the
get
problem is there's a vast significant proportion of the time when you're not fucking allowed in the Grand Hall.
presumably, but it's not like once you actually get your stealth skill, it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
Because Turk is really easy to stealth around.
Really? Because he kept seeing me while he was off screen.
Well, that's because you don't have stealth on. Like he'll be able to see.
So you have to be shuffling?
Basically.
Yeah. Or you have to be in stealth movement mode?
Yeah. Also, it helps that if you're in stealth mode before you enter the Grand Hall.
Yeah, and I mean, when I see him and he's like facing the other way, he has like a 5 foot wide and 10 foot long, or 5 foot wide and 20 foot long field of vision or something. He can't see like directly to his right or left. It's just he can see further than the screen.
I'm like
a straight line sometimes. But yes, it did get better once I had stealth.
Yeah. But yeah, and Turk's job is basically to make your specific life a living hell.
As if it was Severus Snape.
Yeah. Because
Filch.
Yeah, one of the systems that's a part of the game is the demerit system. Basically, if you get 100 demerits, you're automatically expelled from the school, and that's your real fail state of the game. Not death, but getting expelled. Like, and it's not
they usually come in chunks of 5 or 10, so you can't fuck up that many times. Although once you get skilled, you can just sneak into his office and erase your demerits from his book or something.
Yes, you can do that. Also, starting on week 2, if you don't have your school uniform on, he will issue 20 demerits first time, and then it's 30 demerits after, or if you get caught, it's like 10 demerits, then 20 demerits.
Yeah, this is the game's drive to like absolutely force you to actually get money.
Yeah.
And
because the school uniform ain't cheap.
No, it's
and
not.
and you come to school with, I believe, a maximum of 5 lira.
Yeah, yeah. You have to find that 5 lira.
Right, you can just miss it, but there is in fact a coin in the couch in the place that you're trying to steal the lucky coin from. That it's not a lucky coin; it's just a nickel.
Right. And in terms of getting money in the game, there's a few options. You'll go dungeon raiding, like first with the wine cellars, and there'll be other more elaborate dungeons. Like I just got to the sea caves, and oof, that's a bit of a wall. Because this game, once again, you're a rogue. You're not a fighter. So, you know, going into combat, it can be a risky proposition. That being said,
although apparently if you exercise with the barbells and the tightrope every day, you can get fairly strong.
yes, you can beef up your strength skills. Admittedly, I was more focused on my thieving skills, because I'm a rogue. That's how I'm going to play.
I was doing that mostly, but I did end up looking up. There's actually a pretty interesting hint guide that's available online, and also some other things guides that like that's an official hint guide that doesn't give away too much stuff, and also a couple other written things. And they generally recommend recommend spending some time building up those things just because of the amount of increase in health and stuff it gives you.
Yeah, yeah. But it's also worth noting that you can, if you have combat turned on, you still can play as a thief. That is to say, not only can you sneak kill, given certain conditions, it's kind of exacting. Like you have to be within the right amount of walking space. They have to have their backs turned, and you have to be able to execute them. But you can do a backstab kill. Like, um, also, you get a whole subset of items that allow you to trap or stun your enemies. Like literal traps. There's a couple of them. Like there's the sticky trap, and there's a classic mouse trap basically. They also mentioned the mighty trap. I don't think I had that unlocked. But there's sleeping powder, there's itching powder, there's flammes, like that there are bombs. Like I said, there's all sorts of equipment that you can get that will stun or incapacitate or hurt an enemy. You can also team up with others in these dungeon escapades. And that's how I got past the first boss. Like I was nowhere near ready to take him on one-on-one. And I'll grant I was exploring the CK. It's a bit early for the quest, but that's neither here nor there. And this also very much plays like you are in school. That is to say, you will go to class, you will learn lessons, you will take tests. There are two kinds of tests. There are, let's say, general written tests, and there are more specific uh, um, thieving tests. Like the first test you take is on the various methodologies of thieving that you will learn up to that point. And the incentive to do well on those is you'll be able to take elective courses. There are the basic healing or cooking, and the advanced electives, magic and science. And then there are like the second test is going to be the lock picking test. um, which I aced, got a perfect score because I practiced a lot with the lock picks, and it's like it's one of your major early quests to learn how to pick a lock good. Yeah, surprise, that's going to be one of your most common thieving skills. Um, but there are others. There's climbing, stealth, which is your pretty typical video game stealth, which is, crouch walk equals complete invisibility, basically. Like, um, there's also a super goal in the season that where you are competing for Rogue of the Year, which is another reason why you have to do well on the tests. There's a bunch of um, social links that you have to pay attention to, or you don't.
Yeah, there are 5 other students, and you can. Okay, there are 5 other students in your class plus your roommate who is an actual bard.
Yes,
and I think you can actually. I believe there are male romance. There are gay romance options as well as straight romance options.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
Not sure about any non-students. I didn't meet all of the characters, I don't think.
Yeah. I had met most of the characters. I just hadn't met like the advanced elective teachers yet. I heard them in the teachers' lounge, but no. Anyway, so yeah, this is quite the rich tapestry of systems. And I'll be honest, like, I would buy this more as a role-playing game than an adventure game. As an adventure game, it's kind of weak. It's not like that is to say, like, if you're looking for challenging puzzles, especially of the item to item variety, that isn't really this game.
And Pettyfan has failed the intro thing, so I will inform him that the coin you're looking for is on the mantelpiece of the fire. You have to specifically click on that area of it.
Weird.
Well, it's behind a little secret passage or something. You do need the letter opener to get it out.
Yeah, I'm not saying that this game is bereft of those kind of puzzles, but you're not going to get into the creative kind of moon logic kind of puzzles that adventure games are known for. Like, I will say my favorite arc of the game that I got to experience is trying to root out a thief. Like, there's an let's say external thief going around Hero University stealing various sundries, and it's the rogues class's mission to root that thief out because, well, the Turk is using those robberies as an excuse to shut down the rogues course. Like, and this is a thing that you have to do. Like, if a certain number of days pass and you haven't solved it, everyone will get expelled. And it's also something that you can't really solve initially. Like, you have to take a few days to get your sleep interrupted and track down the clues in order to figure out how, where the thief is, the routine, and how to take them down. Also worth noting, in addition to secret compartments, like which Pettyfan is dealing with here, there are secret passages in the Hero University. Now, like, I hit the part where, like, the first major secret passage quest had opened up. Like, they will I don't think you can open it up until the teachers specifically mention that this particular passage is open. Like, also, if your perception is high enough, you will start to find secret doors, but those were like the exit ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And you can have multiple approaches to a problem. Uh, you know, um, and yeah, there's just a lot here, and yeah, this is like the longest adventure game I've played in a while. Is it like this will last you, I'd say, a good 30 hours. Um, and that's just like the first play because unless you're really reading a guide, you're probably not going to figure everything out first time around.
Yeah, if you don't use a guide and like significantly riffle through the guide or the hint books,
Mm-hmm.
um, you're gonna have to play the game multiple. I mean, even aside from the fact that there's like multiple friendship or romance endings or whatever, you're gonna need to play the game multiple times to see various things.
Yeah, and there are also various achievements on the PC version where you might not be buffing in that particular area. Like, for example, there's a game master achievement where you beat all of your classmates in their particular area. There are games, but they're not mini games. Like when you play darts or billiards or cards, you don't actually play those, which is a thing you could do in some other adventure games. But here, your character, outside of Grand, no, the Poobah game, that one you will actually play, but that only comes up after exams. And winning a game of Poobah, at least one game of Poobah, is a achievement requirement as well. You have to get your gaming skill to like 75. And gaming is a skill you will have to focus on. It's not like lock picking or stealth or perception or even combat, where if you go through the game, you will just naturally buff that up. Like, like gaming, if I wanted to bring that up, I had to specifically say to myself, okay, instead of going to like the library or the wine cellar or what have you, I have to go down to the rec room and you know engage in card theory, play solitaire. If I was doing that in the evening, be sure to challenge my classmates. And not every game will boost your gaming stat either. Like playing a game of darts, that won't boost.
Darts just does throwing.
Yes,
I think the other games do boost
Yeah.
gaming in addition to whatever the other thing is. But yeah.
Yes, but like I said, once again, this is much more of what purists call a role-playing game, than, like, say, what a JRPG is.
Mm-hmm.
This is a debate that's actually been raging on for fucking decades, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, PC role-playing game enthusiasts do not recognize JRPGs as real role-playing games because, they play different emphases on different things.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, here, this is very much, building a role. Granted, it's within a certain strata. Like, you are always going to be a rogue, but are you going to be a rogue that's really smart, really charming, rogue that's really focused in on the magics, a rogue that has managed to buff up many, many, many of their stats?
Yeah, because the rogue is one of those classes that has a lot of different ways that you can go about it.
Right. And it is nice that the game recognizes this.
Mm-hmm.
Right. On the inverse, you can not only make friends, best friends, one true loves, but you can also make enemies. Like Turk here, he's always going to be your enemy. But you also have a class rival who is disliked, and you can make. I'm not sure if you can actually make him your friend. I
You
imagine
can, but you
yeah,
have to make everybody else hate you.
yeah, that's about what I was. Because like one of the other achievements is making two enemies and managing to join the Thieves Guild. Now, not exactly sure when that comes into play. Like I said, this is a long adventure game, and I didn't get as much time as I wanted to play it because, well, family obligations.
Hmm.
Um, anyway, the art style is, you know, fairly nice. Um, bit of a weird technical choice to go with here, as it's a fully 3D adventure game with fully 3D models. Like, I won't say it's the only adventure game I've seen in this style, but there's not many of them.
I mean, the 3D models capture the hand-drawn art or digital art. I don't know the flat art pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Also worth noting, this game is a Unity game, and I think that was what was giving Golic some problems on the Nintendo Switch.
There are some issues with the Switch version. The load times are longer than they really ought to be. I mean, one of the things I was having trouble with was just the way that time passes in the game. It passes. It doesn't pass if you stand still, and varying amount of time passing if you look at something or are interacting with generic things. But if you're just walking around, it does, and it's really awkward when you're like waiting for something, and it's hard to tell exactly how long most things take, aside from exercising or skill building things that very specifically take pretty much exactly an hour.
Yeah. Or like if you go to the library and study a book, you can study a book for an hour, or you can study until supper time.
Right. And
yeah.
so yeah, that was odd, and also just the controls aren't great. This game is touch controls enabled, which is probably good, but it's still not quite the same as point and click because you have to do a lot of double tapping. Because you have to double tap to be the equivalent of one click, because the thing can't tell where you're. There's no like pressure differential for where your thing is, for where your finger slash stylus is.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to double tap for that, and otherwise on the with the controller you have to move a pointer around and press a button to click on things. It does have different buttons for interacting in different ways, which is nice.
Yeah.
But it's just a little bit awkward. I think this is probably a game that you're better off playing on a PC or possibly a different console. I don't know. Probably just PC though.
This game is only hitting the Nintendo Switch as far as it is known. Um, but yeah, having played the PC version, I will say that the point and click is pretty seamless, which is not always the case when you have fully 3D adventure games. Like, but this is isometric style. This isn't like, say, Grim Fandango or something like that, where or Sam and Max, The Devil's Playhouse, where using a controller was actually better because it took into account, like full 360-degree rotational movement. This game is very much in the line of you point, you click, you move. And do you know if this game utilized the touchscreen on the Nintendo Switch?
You can. I said it.
Right.
You can use the touchscreen to click, which lets you move to a place, and double tap to click on a place.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite as smooth as a mouse, and obviously the Switch's screen is rather small.
Which is not surprising given the size of the Nintendo Switch screen.
Right. So it's not. It works, but I don't think it's necessarily the optimal way of doing it. Or rather, it's probably a good. You probably want a mixed controller. And I just really wished while I was playing with the Switch that I could move around with the freaking stick, or shift the camera even slightly so that I could see a little further in the direction my character was actually freaking looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's probably best if you play this on the PC. Being honest here, but I suppose what the Nintendo Switch version does offer is portability. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I guess to touch on the music very briefly, it's very there. Like it was nice, but most of it was pretty indistinct when it played. Like, really, the only track that comes to mind is Turk's little motif. Instead of that, it was pretty white noise, if I'm being honest. And let me see. So pricing. Worth noting, at time of recording, the Nintendo Switch version is not out. It's coming out in 2 days' time. It'll be available on February 9th, 2021. So 2 days from recording. Um, on that note, the game is clocking in at $20 normally, but it will be on sale for $15.99. So $16. Um, and it is $29.99 on the PC. Like, and it's also got an additional $10 soundtrack. I'm like, in terms of where I would put my purchase recommendation, I would go with the PC. Like, even though the Switch is significantly cheaper, which is a bit of a reversal there. Um, this this is a PC game that is clearly built around pointing and clicking.
And having
Mhm.
like this is one of those games where I could actually get around the idea that you want to have like a keyboard worth of different buttons to press.
Right. Um, but just I could not like. It's not that I couldn't imagine playing this game on a console. It's just this is a game that really doesn't
I think a
benefit.
console port would work pretty well, but you'd have to rearrange the controls. You'd have to
Yeah,
give it so that you can walk around with one stick and
yeah, that
use the other stick to like click on stuff.
yeah. I mean, I've seen other adventure games do that on consoles. Um, And it also sounds like the Switch version is suffering from some technical issues, which is not unusual for Unity games. Um, so I'm gonna say, yeah, if you're wanting to pick the Hero U up, get the PC version. Um, it's just it is built around pointing and clicking. That's really what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as far as it as a game on its own, that's a pretty strong adventure role playing game hybrid. Um,
Also, there's certainly plenty of humor, although a lot of it is in the dad joke genre.
and fucking puns.
Yes.
Oh, the puns.
Indeed.
There are so many puns. Make the puns stop. Like,
They will never stop.
not in this game, no.
No.
I
Uh,
mean, I'm pretty sure that's how Sean makes friends over dinner. Is your cut in most dinners is him telling the horrible pun punchline to a joke.
mhm. Oh, yeah. But yeah.
One of
Um,
them is literally the "with fronds like that you don't need anemones" joke.
yeah.
Very first one.
Like I said, really solid adventure game here. And apparently, this is supposed to be the first lineage of Hero U games, though the PC version came out back in 2018, and another Hero U game has yet to materialize. Though we are having the devs on the program next month, so I suppose we can ask a bit more about that when the time comes. Um, what about you, Golix? Where would you rate Hero U?
Overall, I mean, I found it a little bit clunky to play on the Switch, but overall, I enjoyed the game a lot. Like, I hope to have a little bit of time to play some more of it, or at least to try again, or find a Let's Play of it. Because also, it's the kind of game where you have a ton of decisions, and I get decision paralysis really bad.
Yes. All right. Any other questions or comments on Hero U?
Not much off the top of my head. I mostly wanted to make sure I got the thing about the Huns in.
Right, right. All right then. So that'll about do it for Hero U, and that'll about do it for our review session. So coming up on the week ahead, let me see here, and as soon as I get into the right position, on Wednesday, February 10th, we'll be having Iori Brandford of Demonizer the Game. She's the creator of that Demonizer shmup that we reviewed a few weeks back. And we will be having a Friday show this week. We'll be having Mads Lauman of Laumania. And they did confirm the other day. And yeah, that is our schedule for the week upcoming. And until Wednesday, I shall wish you good gaming.